Welcome back to another episode of Peeping Ballers. I'm your host, Albert. No, I am not Maxwell, even though some of you have confused me for him. Today, we're going to talk about Germany topping Group A and why, in my opinion, I think this German team is for real and can actually win it all. Now, Germany was expected, I think, to kind of bounce back at this tournament, especially because it was a home European championship. Obviously, the results have not been there in past years. 2022 World Cup, a group stage exit, a shameful round of 16 defeat to Gareth Southgate's England at the 2020 European Championships, and then we all know the debacle in 2018 when they were knocked out by South Korea in the last group stage match in Russia. So this German team has been kind of in a bit of a tailspin, and as we said in the Germany preview video with Adam Kahn, Julian Nagelsmann has been appointed to kind of bring in some new, fresh faces to this German team, which he has done, to be fair. Not calling up a lot of Bayern Munich or Borussia Dortmund players, relying on some guys from Stuttgart, some young heads also from Hoffenheim like Maximilian Bayer. A good mix of informed players with the right level of elite talent and veteran leadership. And I think that it showed in Germany's results in the group stage, beating Scotland 5-1. Granted, I think the Scots were terrible this whole tournament, probably one of the worst teams in the entire competition. Taking down a pesky Hungary side 2-0 that usually gave them trouble. That was very impressive. And last night, basically a 1-1 draw against Switzerland, who always are an uncomfortable matchup for the big teams. I believe Germany can win this entire competition if Julian Nagelsmann makes one key change to his starting 11, and that is starting Niclas Füllkrug as the number 9 over Kai Havertz. Guys, I love Kai Havertz. I'm wearing his jersey right now. One of my favorite players, but he's not a striker. He's not a number 9. He had success at Leverkusen basically as a number 10 playing behind a striker. Ever since he's moved to England, his time at Chelsea, his time at Arsenal, none of his managers have played him in the hole or at least next to a striker. They've always played him as a false 9 or the sole 9, and it makes no sense because the guy is tall and he can win headers, but he's not great in the air. He's not a typical hold-up man. He's not going to occupy both center backs. He's going to want to drift into wide areas and pull people out. So it's never made sense to me why Thomas Tuchel, by Mikel Arteta, have never played him in his correct position, and same for the German national team. Hansi Flick kept playing him as the number 9. Julian Nagelsmann, what's he doing? He's playing him as the number 9, and we saw against Switzerland that if you play pretty much a 3 or 5 at the back, that you can kind of neutralize Havertz and force him to play more on the side because he's just not good enough physically to occupy 2 of the center backs, especially 2 physical center backs in Fabian Schär and Manuel Akanji. Germany looked pretty lifeless in attack for a lot of the game against Switzerland. I know they had a few penalty shouts that probably were penalties, but that's a whole different topic, I think. The Italian referee was dreadful today. But in any case, I think this game really exposed the fact that, especially against a team that likes to sit back and has physical center backs, Germany has to start playing Niclas Füllkrug as the 9. Not just because he's a typical striker who will occupy the center backs, but his goal scoring rate for Germany is incredible. I believe he has 13 goals in 19 matches, basically scoring every 58 minutes, which is a crazy number. I mean, we haven't seen a German striker this prolific since Mario Gomez and Miroslav Klose. Mario Gomez last had an effective tournament at Euro 2016. Miroslav Klose's last tournament was in 2014, so it's been pretty much 10 years since Germany has had a striker at a tournament that they can rely on. And boy, oh boy, I really like Niclas Füllkrug, guys. I'm the type of guy, if I'm a manager, no more of this Pep Guardiola false 9 BS, sucking players out of position. No, you play the game to win, especially in an international competition when you don't have a lot of time to tinker. You need a real number 9, putting his big ass up next to the goal, occupying those 2 defenders, and winning balls in the box, thereby giving your other attacking players next to him more space to come in and cause their own havoc. And I think guys like Julian Nagelsmann, while they're smart, they tend to be too smart for their own good, try to tinker, a little too stubborn. And I think any coach, any fan can see right now that Germany's attack is just not flowing properly without a real number 9. Guys, once Julian Nagelsmann put on David Raum and Niclas Füllkrug, you know what was going to happen. David Raum is one of the best attacking fullbacks in the world. Raum's going to whip in across for the big man Füllkrug, and he's probably going to get his head on it and get it on target. And lo and behold, what happens in injury time? Füllkrug gets the equalizer from a David Raum cross. This is the strategy that Germany has to use, in my opinion, if they want to win in the knockout stages. I think if you look at the brackets, Germany are most likely going to play Spain in the quarterfinals, assuming that Spain takes care of business in Group B. The Spanish team is probably the one team in the entire world that knows all about the false 9. I mean, they won multiple competitions playing guys like Cesc Fabregas as a false 9. they will know, in my opinion, how to deal with someone like Kai Havertz because that's, the system they played for years until most recently. And look at even Spain now. They're using a real number 9 in Alvaro Morata. I believe Germany can win this competition. I believe they are probably the best team so far in terms of performances. But for them to be able to do that, Julian Nagelsmann has to bench Kai Havertz and play Niclas Füllkrug as the number 9. I would even say that he probably should bench Ilkay Gundogan and play Havertz as the 10 behind Füllkrug. But we know Nagelsmann's not going to do that because Gundogan is the captain and you can't upset the captain. Guys, I like Julian Nagelsmann. I think he's a very young, progressive-minded, fresh manager. But I also think he's a little too smart for his own good at times. He kind of comes from that Pep Guardiola school where he knows he's so intelligent, but he almost tries to prove to everyone how smart he is by doing something that isn't necessarily logical. And I understand the arguments for playing a false nine like Havertz. I know that Germany have a lot of players in the attack that like to play in the half spaces like Gundogan, Wirtz, and Musiala. They're very, ball defeat players that like to have possession, that like to kind of take up all the space. So maybe you need a guy to stretch the defense a bit and make room for them. But I think from the sample size that we've seen in the 3 group stage games, besides the beatdown against Scotland, Kai Havertz ain't it as a low number 9. And I think this is going to be a big problem for Germany, especially if they get deeper in the competition. My worry is that they'll give up a goal early on the knockout stages, and then Nagelsmann will realize, oh shit, you know what, maybe I should put on Füllkrug. And while you can sub in a guy in the second half, eventually your luck's going to run out. I believe the best players or the best fits have to start the game because you have no time to waste in an international tournament. I feel this could come back to bite Germany. If Julian Nagelsmann plays Niclas Füllkrug as the number 9, Germany can absolutely and should win this entire competition. Now let's look at some of the other teams in Group A. Start with Scotland, guys. Wow, what a disappointing performance. I mean, I think we all knew the Scots don't have a lot of talent. They play that typical brand of terrorist ball where they park the bus and rely on set pieces and, moments of individual brilliance off a counterattack to get a goal. That's the way the other teams in the UK play, such as the Irish, the Northern Irish, the Welsh. I really don't like watching it, but I mean, the Scottish fans have been so energetic, passionate, and you like to see the underdogs doing well. But from what I saw from Scotland, especially in that game against Hungary, is just didn't create anything at all for 90 plus minutes and decided, hey, look, it's injury time. Maybe we should score a goal and stay in this competition. That kind of mentality cannot fly, and they absolutely does not deserve to go through. As much as I despise the Hungarians and their fans, fair play to them. They deserve to win the game. We'll see if the Hungarians are able to go through as one of the better third-place teams. Right now, that's looking a little iffy, but fair play to Hungary for getting that much-needed W over Scotland. Hungary definitely one of the more disappointing teams in the tournament so far still because people had them as a dark horse, including me, but just really didn't get off to a great start against Switzerland and then continue that against Germany. Maybe it's a little too late for them, but still better than Scotland, and they deserve the 3 points. Switzerland, guys, what can you say? Typical, impressive, workmanlike performance. They're pretty much an automatic round of 16 appearance nowadays. It's fantastic what a small country like that can do with a limited player pool, and I think it's something that Korea should try to emulate. It's like, okay, it's a very small country, doesn't have that many resources, but has a very good system, has a number of good managers that create team unity in a way of playing that suits the players. And man, Switzerland are going to be a hard out. I think that it'll take extra time or penalties to knock out the Swiss team in the knockouts. And I'm glad that Germany had only to play them once. But, just looking at this group in general, I think it pretty much went the way we expected. Germany in first, Switzerland in second, Hungary in third. Maybe some people had Switzerland and Hungary switched. But nevertheless, the Scots in last place. I'm very happy what I've seen from Germany, finally finishing first in the group for the first time since Euro 2016. It does seem like there are brighter days coming for this German team. But again, Julian Nagelsmann has to be a little less stubborn because there are some better opponents coming. Now, in the round of 16, it looks most likely that Germany will play probably Denmark or maybe Slovenia, the second place team in Group C. Denmark could cause trouble because I think they do play a bit of a similar style to the Swiss with 3 at the back and those wing backs pushing up. But assuming that Germany takes care of business against Denmark, like I said in the video earlier, they will most likely play Spain in the quarterfinals. And guys, Spain have been really, really impressive. I think that Germany-Spain matchup will probably be determining the winner of this competition. Now, to be honest, Spain do scare me because they've looked amazing, but also the fact is that Germany historically does not play very well against Spain. They either lose or draw to them. They rarely beat the Spanish. For some reason, it's just a bogey team for them. The Italians and the Spanish have always been an Achilles heel for the German national team. And one thing that does give me hope is I think the Spanish team still has not been tested, especially with their two center backs in Laporte and Lenormand. I also like Cucurella going forward, but I think he can be also a bit suspect defensively. I think Italy parked the bus way too much against the Spanish in that second game, and Croatia just was completely shameful and collapsed. So I hope that the Spanish team does get tested, because I think while they're one of the favorites to win it, I still think despite the exciting options that they have in attack with Lamine Yamal, Nico Williams, that they're still very, very vulnerable at the back. Not to say that Germany is invulnerable. The center back pairing of Antonio Rudiger and Jonathan Tah looked good in the first two games. A bit more shaky in the game against Switzerland. I personally never been a big fan of Jonathan Tah. I think he's had a good season at Leverkusen, but mainly due to Xabi Alonso's system with the back three, where Tah was playing in the middle of that back three and wasn't really asked to be as mobile as he is in a back four. Tah's foot speed is a bit of a concern for me, as well as his footballing IQ, prone to make some very dumb decisions. So I think it's honestly maybe a good thing that he's suspended for the round of 16 match. Although Nico Schlotterbeck also has a tendency of doing very dumb things for the national team, namely giving away penalties. But if they can survive that round of 16 match without Tah and, God willing, Rudiger and Mittelstadt don't pick up more yellows because they'd be suspended as well, I think Germany would be in a decent position to play the Spanish as long as Niclas Füllkrug is starting. Another concern Germany has, I believe Antonio Rudiger is nursing a thigh injury at the moment. Don't know if he's going to be available. Yeah, one thing I want to rant about, guys, before I end the video, the yellow card rule for this tournament has been horrible. 2 yellow cards and you're suspended automatically. I get you're trying to encourage fair play. You're trying to make sure players are playing the game the right way. But guys, in my opinion, I would have done 3 yellow cards suspension. I think 2 is way too punitive, because sometimes there are times when you take a yellow and it really wasn't your fault. Maybe your ref is handing out yellow cards like candy, or maybe you yelled at someone, or you just felt like you need to blow off some steam. In any case, a lot of things can happen in a match to pick up a yellow card, and I think doing a 2 yellow card suspension rule is a bit punitive. But I guess it also does make things exciting in a way. But yeah, there are some important Germany players on yellows right now. Robert Andrich, Jonathan Tah, as I said, is suspended. Antonio Rudiger is on yellow, as well as Maximilian Mittelstadt. All these players are important for Germany. So, if they pick up yellows in the round of 16 match and they advance, Germany could be in a very big pickle, especially if they play Spain without someone like Andrich or Rudiger. So that's something we have to worry about. But assuming all that goes well and Nagelsmann plays Füllkrug as the 9, don't be surprised if this Germany team wins it all. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Gonna have some more great content coming out for the Euros and Copa. See you in the next one.